Howdy, howdy. We are live on a Friday night with yet another installment of the Tex-Trek podcast. And for those watching live here in the United States, happy 4th of July, I guess. But we're going to have a good time talking about some Star Trek the Animated Series, which includes some fireworks, as Aaron pointed out to me the other day. So. But I'm ready to get started. It looks like we have some people chatting away in the live audience. So thanks for putting down your hot dogs and ice cream and whatever you're celebrating 4th of July with long enough to come chat Trek with us. But without further ado, I'm Fatheree.
I'm Aaron.
I'm Miss Taylor.
And this is Tex-Trek.
Engage.
Welcome back aboard the Starship Texas for the 337th installment of the Tex-Trek podcast, the home of Star Trek fandom from deep in the heart of Texas, where we take a deep look at Star Trek, old and new. And tonight, we are talking about Star Trek, the Animated Series, Season 2, Episode 3, The Practical Joker, written by Chuck Minville and directed by Bill Reed, like the rest of TAS Season 2, all 6 episodes worth.
It's auto-directed at that point, but yeah.
But we have Aaron discussing the animated series with us. So as the TAS expert, that's like your official designation now.
Yeah, I think that like whenever there's a animated series, my ears are perk up like it's my spidey sense, basically.
But yeah, the reason why we're talking about this episode is because of the use of the Rec Room, which the trailers for Strange New Worlds Season 3 make it pretty clear there's some 23rd century holodeck technology in this upcoming season of Strange New Worlds. So this episode with the Rec Room, with this facility on the Enterprise that is somehow creating these representations of different environments, maybe not interactive characters, but just different environments. We're thinking that might be what we'll see in Strange New Worlds as a similar type of pre-holodeck, I guess. But before we get into that, though, just a bit of quick housekeeping as per usual. I want to give a big thank you and shout out to the wonderful people in the Tex-Trek Patreon who make the weekly live show possible. So thank you so very much, Starfleet Sohel, Cake is Eternal, Crizzy Dutchy, Joanne Robertson, John Dog, Geek Filter, Quarks Bar, Stephanie Durantas, Matthew Averett, Braxton, Chuck A, Joel Vallis, Benjinium, Arthur Lamoureux, our associate producer Chris Garris, Dave Farabee, Dave A. Gregory, and our anonymous supporters. We like to celebrate with our patrons by having monthly watch parties. And our next one, we just started the new month. It's July. Here's our first show of July, halfway through 2025. But speaking about being like halfway or like two-parters or whatever, we're getting the return of Strange New Worlds with Season 3 premiering with Hegemony Part 2, the follow-up to their Gorny cliffhanger at the end of Season 2. So we're going to watch in the Patreon watch party on July 19th, Best of Both Worlds Parts 1 and 2, when TNG invented the season-ending Star Trek cliffhanger and kind of made that a normal, regular occurrence in the Berman era of Star Trek. So I think it'll be kind of fun to compare and contrast, who did it better, Best of Both Worlds or Hegemony. So it'll be a fun time to revisit that. July 19th, that'll be at 3:30 p.m. Central that Saturday afternoon, and that's open to all of our patrons to attend. You can come in to the Patreon as little as $2 a month, and if you can afford to be more generous, there are some additional perks as well. Like, we'll throw watch parties for your birthday if you can support at the bridge crew level or higher. So if anyone is currently supporting at that level and you have a birthday in August, let me know and we will get that scheduled. You can shoot me a message in the Tex-Trek Discord server. Links to that wherever you are watching or listening. But before we get started on our feature subject, the Practical Joker, our latest backtracking retrospective, just a little bit of Star Trek news. You know, we're still gearing up for Strange New Worlds. We got another 2 weeks before season 3, but we'll be covering that live on Fridays. We'll be doing the first reaction streams hosted by Rachel on Thursdays. So Thursday, Fridays, we're gonna have plenty to talk about on these new episodes of Strange New Worlds. I guess the issues with the Paramount merger, with like the whole Skydance merger, I guess that seems like it'll probably move forward now that Paramount, I guess, settled in court with the president, who is like, I'm not going to approve this deal unless you give me some big settlement. So weird to
really
see.
Torn about, like, do you keep Paramount Plus and watch Star Trek, or pirate it, or like what? It's like, it's so antithetical to the show.
Yeah, it's frustrating. It's kind of weird to witness stuff like that, but whatever that means for the future of the franchise, for the future of Star Trek, I think we're going to get these last 3 seasons of Strange New Worlds and the 2 seasons of the Academy show that we know about, and then who knows? It's going to be different people in charge after that. So, but maybe whatever that is, they'll finally like get a plan together and have some traction. So, but yeah, kind of unfortunate to see how the politics are shaken out, and I don't know, it's kind of concerning to be like, oh, if they're gonna like change 60 Minutes to appease this administration, are they gonna change like what they're allowed to write in Star Trek and stuff like that? So yeah, it's a little unsettling. But nothing really else in the way of news. So this is an exciting episode to talk about, though. It's not, I wouldn't call it like a great episode of Star Trek, but it's definitely a fun and memorable one. And it also inspired some really cool Trek merch, some really cool T-shirts, like the one Aaron is wearing. You want to show that off? But yeah, the infamous Kirk is a jerk shirt. That I guess
it's hard to center myself in that.
I guess apparently that pisses off Shatner if he like sees people in that shirt at conventions. But
well, that's a positive thing then, I guess.
To be fair, he's easily triggered. So
it was really funny because when we put this together for the 50th, because it's like it's just a no-brainer. It's a shirt in the show, like you can make easily, and like so we put it out, and so many people who didn't know the animated series, who were diehard Star Trek fans, got very angry, and how dare we do this? And it's like, say you haven't watched the animated series without saying you haven't watched the animated series.
Right.
So, I've gotten that experience. I get those types of reactions because a lot of people who follow me on social media have seen the images, but I like to wear a TOS Captain Kirk gold shirt uniform that has those letters printed on the back to say Kirk is a jerk. That I was able to make because of the 2 people on the podcast with me, Taylor and her Cricket, and Aaron's graphics, which were very screen accurate to what we see in the episode. So thank you both for helping me out with that, because it's a lot of fun. But I wore that to the Ticonderoga sets when Taylor and I did the set tour up in Ticonderoga recently, and one of the people who worked there, one of the tour guides, was like, yeah, I haven't seen the animated series, but I know exactly what that is, though. I know good. That reference. So it is, I guess, one of the more standout things. But But yeah, the episode, The Practical Joker, we talked about like Kirk's weird shirt. We talked about the rec room holodeck, but this is the episode where the ship's computer goes bonkers and starts playing pranks on everyone. I'm gonna just recap it real quick by reading the synopsis I grabbed off of Memory Alpha, and then I'll kind of expand on that. The synopsis reads: after passing through a strange space energy cloud, the Enterprise's computer gains an artificial intelligence that is relentlessly bent on making practical jokes on the crew. And so yeah, we get some wacky computer pranks, but eventually they're able to fix the computer by going back through the cloud, and whatever weird subatomic particles that infected the computer, somehow the process was reversed. And
I have a new headcanon idea about that might actually fix it.
Well, I'm curious to hear what that is.
Yeah, when we get there, yeah.
Because there is some wonky stuff in this one, but Aaron, why don't you go ahead and just give us the first of our three opening statements and tell us your broad thoughts on this episode before we get in the episode breakdown.
Sure. This is definitely one of the most Saturday morning cartoon episodes of TAS. It's just it's something you would see in another show, another episode of something else. The Practical Joker. It just, I don't know. It's fun, but it's not very deep. And I think without the rec room, it might have actually been, even more interesting. The silly giant behind me, the inflatable Enterprise and everything like that. Which is fun, but it's, there are lots of interesting bits and pieces to it. So I think it's one of those, the parts are more interesting than the sum. But I really enjoy it. It's fun. And there's a lot of, it's a lot of fodder for, jokes and also thinking about like how out of date some of those practical jokes are as well. Like they don't feel like, who puts the grease paint around somebody's eye or on the thing, and it was like, there's probably a lot of people who don't even know what that joke is.
Well,
but yeah,
Taylor,
I enjoyed it.
Taylor, what about you? What was your broad takeaway from The Practical Joker?
Yeah, pretty much same feeling as Aaron. I think, again, like it's a really fun episode, but like you said, like not very deep, but it's still like entertaining. And it does have a little bit of like that Scooby-Doo vibe to it, like where, you can see the pranks the computer is pulling before some of the crew does. And so I think it's kind of fun where you can kind of see it as like a third party, like what's about to happen before the crew does, but you're kind of like you're almost like more on the side of the computer, like you're like one step ahead of the crew, which is kind of entertaining. Because you kind of have that suspense of knowing like, oh, they're about to fall into this little trap or whatever. But yeah, it's really fun. I think it was pretty amusing, like seeing some of the pranks. Like some of them weren't common knowledge pranks to me, so it was kind of interesting. I think my biggest beef though is I think the vase glasses is probably like the not coolest prank, and it's weird that they would start with that one because I'm like, why are y'all even drinking out of vase glasses? Like they don't even look like drinkable glassware.
And where did those glasses come from? Like did the create them? Like what? Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's a fun episode.
There's no like what is it? The replicator technology to do that at that point. I don't think they still have paper cups and for their coffee.
Yeah. It was especially case glass that they pulled out of some cabinet somewhere.
I guess, yeah. That's how you celebrate escaping death at the hands of Romulans, by drinking out of those vases, I guess. But
it's a celebratory thing we don't know anything about. It's like from 200 years from now or something.
Anything else, Taylor?
No.
Well, for me, I as a lot of people have heard me say a lot, I love Star Trek the Animated Series. I'm a big TOS fan, and to me it feels like more TOS. But this is probably one of the weakest episodes of the animated series. There's just a lot of like really wonky stuff that kind of... it's hard to kind of try to explain or make sense of, like how exactly does the ship's computer pull off all of this stuff? Like, wouldn't it need like arms and legs to put a new object on the bridge, or like stuff like? I mean,
well, that could be beamed in, maybe. Like, it's
or it just just loaded it up with someone like, oh, here's like a maintenance ticket for this red shirt to go like set this up and on the bridge. You know, he's not gonna question it. It's just like, oh, this like orders came through or something. So there's ways you can try to explain it, but like there is some wonky stuff in here. However, I find it like a very watchable episode though. There's some good Kirk lines I really like. I love the Romulans. We have some Romulans cruising around in D7s. Love that. And
with their Connect 4 background. It looked like the lattice behind it looks like the game from the.
It totally does, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think I thought the same thing when I saw it at some point, but yeah, so not a good episode, but it has a lot of things I like, and I find it pretty watchable. And yeah, we got like the fun Kirk is a jerk meme from this, so well done, TAS. And just it's fun for Magel's computer voice to get to have some personality again. You know, we saw that one time in the original series, so we got to see kind of a different.
Hello, dear. Whatever.
Yeah, that was in Tomorrow Is Yesterday, right? Is when they went back in time to the 60s.
Didn't happen more than once. I think it was like twice. It's because that was they had mentioned it happened before that. I think because they referred to it like people knew about.
Yeah,
it.
Spock mentioned like they had to have like repairs. From a planet.
Oh right, yeah, you're right. Okay, yeah.
It was all populated by women, or at least like all the scientists were. So they made the computer like using Spock's words was something like especially female or something like that was Spock's 60s dialogue. But anyways, but here we get like the insane prankster version of of the computer. We can go ahead and go through our episode breakdown and run through the whole episode beat by beat. We'll probably spend a little bit more time than usual talking about some of the Rec Room stuff because we're kind of curious about how Star Trek going forward might handle 23rd century holodecks. But just starting with the opening, the episode begins with the Enterprise surveying asteroids and Kirk bragging about being done with this assignment 72 hours ahead of schedule. They're on the final asteroid. Yeah, it's like that TV rule of like, yeah, don't say everything's going smoothly, we're ahead of schedule, anything like that, because that's when Romulans show up and attack you.
In their blue and yellow D7s.
They look cool. I like the colorful D7s. I like the way that the Romulans look on. I think, we also see at least one Romulan in TAS in The Survivor. I think they look cooler here. With their uniforms look better. That guy in The Survivor talked like Kermit the Frog too. Didn't have like his intimidating of a voice. It's like James Doohan doing like one. He can do a lot of voices, but like, what's the joke you say, Aaron? He's not the man of 1,000 voices. He's like a man of like 47 or something. Like he can do a lot, but he's gonna recycle some of them.
You get Eric's more than once sometimes.
Yeah. But the Romulans are kind of weird. They're like, we're attacking you because you trespassed into the neutral zone. And Kirk's like, no, we weren't even close to the neutral zone.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird, though. It's a little, it feels a little forced, we'll say.
Yeah, they're like, we need some kind of conflict. What's a conflict? How about this made-up conflict that we've also used multiple times?
We need like a threat, and it's like, well, we've already done the Klingons a few times. Let's do another Romulan episode.
Mm-hmm. I think it was really funny when Kirk is like, well, I plan to file a detailed complaint to the Federation. I'm like, you're such a Karen, Kirk. Like, please. Yeah. The Romulan does not care about your complaint to the Federation. Like, they're not even part of the Federation. Like, come on.
Exactly.
It gets filed away in some drawer somewhere, then like they bring it up on Nimbus 3 and Star Trek 5, like the Paradise City. That's like one of the items that comes up in one of their meetings at the bar, I guess. But I like the line from Kirk when he says we've suffered damage and we're outnumbered 3-1. I think this is an instance where discretion is the better part of valor. I was like, oh, that's kind of well scripted and makes it sound kind of cool when what you're really doing is retreating.
Yeah.
But they retreat into this dangerous cloud, which I feel like Taylor, just like a few weeks ago, I was mentioning one of the clouds of Star Trek. I was like, yeah, like these dangerous clouds, like it happens more than you'd think. Like,
Yeah.
Obsession, the motion picture, the Practical Joker.
Yeah.
And the I guess the cloud could be the also from Once Upon a Planet, or not? One of our planets is missing?
Yeah. The planet devouring thing. So, very Galactus-like. There's a new Fantastic Four movie approaching. It's very Galactus. But Aaron, you were pointing out how we're recording this on 4th of July, by the way, anyone watching or listening later. But we have 4th of July fireworks.
I have my root beer float in my Quarks glass, so that was appropriate. And it has a little bit of whiskey in it, so it's an adult root beer float.
Nice. There's a couple of fun Scotty moments in this episode. He's very protective of the Enterprise. He has the line, "Hold together, little darling, hold together," when they're passing into the cloud, and like shortly after that, he calls like the Romulans Romulan vultures. He's like, oh, it almost sounds like something like Styles from Balance of Terror would say. But no, Scotty's mad because like they were like putting his girl in danger. They were like attacking his ship. So,
but that was also weird. That it's like how's it going? Oh, the repairs will take another 24 hours. No thanks to those they caused that. They wouldn't be helping. Like I don't know what that was a weird way of phrasing it.
And it's also weird when Sulu notices the cloud when he like discovers it. He's like, "There's an unidentified energy field," and then Spock says, "Strange. It's not on any of the charts." Taylor, do you remember what you pointed out?
How it's unidentified.
I was like, "Yeah, Spock. Sulu already said it was unidentified." Like,
it's not very logical.
I was like, man, like he's not listening at all. His listening ears are off. So.
Yeah, but the cloud is we don't learn much about it. It's very kind of like standard Star Trek sci-fi technobabble. We're just told it's composed of highly charged subatomic particles. So a convenient way for your writer to have whatever weird thing you need to have happen. Just them highly charged subatomic particles.
My head can't. You want to hear the how that might work actually? If for some reason these subatomic particles were actually also considered a life form, some sort of sentient being, because when they go back through, they would just basically exit and go back to their home.
That would make a lot of sense. So
that's the one thing I thought like that could save this, and it would be interesting too because it's the 23rd century. They probably don't have as much knowledge of that sort of thing being able to happen. But if this was the Enterprise D, they probably would have figured it out.
Yeah, they would be a little bit better at scanning or studying something on that scale, on like the subatomic scale. Yeah, no, that checks out. I like that. I can get behind that. Any other thoughts on the opening and the passage through the cloud before we get into the fun and games with the practical jokes?
I'm ready for the jokes.
Yeah.
Well, they start off in the mess hall. The first thing that we see is they're sitting down at the table to celebrate, fleeing the Romulans through the scary cloud that I guess the Romulans wouldn't go through, but the Enterprise was like, "Oh, this is a weird unidentified cloud, but F it, we're gonna roll the dice, Romulans." We're gonna take the risk, but yeah,
it's like someone's eating a sandwich and some mush, and like that was
yeah.
Or
the
maybe
food
pie.
Actually, I think looks way more appetizing on TAS than on TOS. Like some of the TOS food, even though it is real food and fruit and whatever, it looks like Play-Doh, and I don't want to eat that. Like it just looks bad.
The fruit on their table looks a little like old and dirty.
Yeah.
Doesn't look particularly
This also looks like
appetizing.
ham hocks or something.
I
in the
think it
middle.
looks
I don't
good.
But they also have like a Saurian brandy bottle. It looks like at the middle of the table, but it kind of also looks like they're drinking milk. But it's weird because like they're like toasting, which typically like wouldn't toast unless you're drinking alcohol or at least synthahol, which they shouldn't have.
This might be one of the episodes where they weren't together because that toast was not coordinated at all. Like everybody's just talking over each other and not in any kind of unison. And so yeah,
they all say something different. But yeah,
but
like
that is weird that it's milk. Like,
but it also makes
Maybe
it like
maybe they're like White Russians or something, where it's like a milky alcoholic drink or something.
there you go.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's a pina colada that's not blended.
Ah.
Who knows?
or could it have been like an NBC standards and practice thing? Like if they're spilling liquid on themselves, it needs to look like, it can't be purple. It can't like
That's
look
a
like alcohol.
Good question. I will ask and find out. We'll send it out on Blue Sky or something when I get the answer.
Nice. But yeah, all of their drinks are like spilling their whatever their white beverages like all over their faces. Then
I don't think anybody's ever asked me that in the entire, like, all the times I've seen this. It's like I didn't even think about it. It's like, oh yeah, wait, why is that white? Except for the obvious jokes that people make. Yeah.
So that was the computer's first prank, is giving everyone the trick glasses. So these glasses do come out of the synthesizer, because they say that like there must have been something. They eventually conclude that it was a practical joke. Like it would be too weird of a coincidence for all of us to have like this these bad glasses that leak when you drink out of for some reason. So this Dr. McCoy is like, oh, in medical school we used to pull tricks like this on each other all the time. So
apparently dribble glasses, survive into the 23rd century.
Yeah. I think it's fun whenever you hear like the title of the episode in the episode. Like when you're like, oh, this is why they named the episode that or whatever. But I like that McCoy like name drops the episode. Looks like we have a practical joker among us or something in our midst, whatever he says. But I think that's a really fun way to like, I don't know, drop the title of the episode.
So the next prank we get is Spock sees this new device on the bridge. Looks like a microscope or something, but it has like two little, like, it looks obviously like, okay, your eyes are meant to like go up to this thing and stare in, and you're gonna see something.
It's
but
like
he just
the thing at the optometrist that you put your eyes up to get your vision checked.
But he just sees this and immediately is like, well, I'm gonna look into it. I literally look into it. Like, look into this thing. Like, just put my face down up into this and get some raccoon eyes. Someone had like rubbed grease on this thing, and everyone's laughing at Spock. Kirk is like, oh, that's so funny. Everyone laugh.
Make fun of Spock. We have to have one of those episodes per season.
But this is the thing that I thought was like weird. Like, oh yeah, how did the computer get this thing here? But Aaron suggested it could have been beamed. I think it also could have had like, yeah, it's just someone who works.
I like
in
Taylor's
engineering
idea of it just sending a red shirt to like put it on the bridge, and nobody would probably think twice.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Oh, you said that. Okay, sorry.
Mr. Kyle got like the orders to go install this thing, but.
Yeah, like it just like shows up as like a task on their pad or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be funny though. Does that mean that Kyle would have been the one that put the grease on the rings?
Well, no, I think it's like that might have just come out.
Yeah,
that way.
It came off of the assembly line like that. Like, I pictured it like being built like how on Star Trek Prodigy they had the vehicle replicator that could build like shuttlecrafts and stuff. I thought it would just be something similar to that. But before we move on, I want to say thank you so much to our friend and associate producer, Chris Garris, for the $10 super chat. Chris says, happy 4th of July, Tex-Trek family. Well, happy 4th right back at you, Chris. I also saw Chris mentioning that he's going to be at a SpaceCon San Antonio later this year. And yeah, Taylor and I were just talking about that last night, as a matter of fact. We're going to George Takei, Christina Chong, and I think some other Trek actors are going to be there in October. So we'll be there at least one day. It's like right down the road from us. It's like an hour drive, so easy to get to. But yeah, after we get the joke on Spock, we get the joke on Scotty with the food synthesizer shooting all this food all over him when all he ordered was the grilled cheese on rye. Interesting choice. I figured
this
Scotty
was sort of
would
replicated
want, like,
in the short treks. That one where the food was flying all over the place too.
Oh, and
With Tilly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And Runaway,
Runaway, yes, thank you.
the first short trek.
I did like the animation of the replicator tossing the food out. I thought that was really fun. And like they reused some of the same like food shapes, but it looks so good and colorful and like messy at the same time. Like I think it's really a fun
We'll probably shoot
animation
out
sequence.
the same things every once in a while too. Anyway,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
What all do we get? We're looking at like a still image from the episode, and like it looks like we got like a hamburger, a chicken
Bananas.
leg, apples, bananas, pears,
Sandwich, grapes,
Yeah, lots of sandwiches.
some
None of
lettuce,
them
maybe.
none of them are grilled cheese on rye though. They're all like
No.
ham and
Yeah.
cheese or turkey.
Yeah, every one of
With
these
lettuce.
sandwiches looks like it has meat on it.
Yeah.
One of the eggs landed on the ground unbroken. That's kind of
Yeah.
crazy. Maybe it's a hard-boiled egg.
Yeah, I was about to say
Yeah.
maybe it was boiled, and like one of them comes out fried. It looks like so.
Yeah.
It kind of looks like Operation Annihilate, right? When you have the flying fried eggs.
Yeah. There's a pear.
I think it was awkward in this scene when Scotty was blaming like Eric's and
Yes,
Rest
thank
for
you.
this. I was like, that's kind of a weird thing to be like, hey, y'all probably did this. Y'all are the reason this is pranking me. And I was kind of like,
Yeah,
but why and how would
'Cause
they
they're
like
aliens.
mess with the replicator?
it does seem
Yeah.
like it does come off as like kind of like racist against
Yeah.
aliens, though. It's like
We sort of used that as a little bit in our the supplement we wrote for the Star Trek Adventures game, where it's like they would eat lunch together because it was like, and sometimes Spock, but it was like we're the three aliens on the ship. It was just like there's no other. This was before it was a really really integrated cruise.
well. Taylor and I have been watching Strange New Worlds season 1 and 2 again in preparation for season 3, and we've just watched like the first half of season 1 in the last few days. And one thing that I really miss was Spock and Hemmer. Engineer Hemmer and Spock, they kind of had this, we're the alien bros on the ship.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a fun friendship that I would have loved to have seen more of between the two of them. So
I wish they hadn't killed Hammer off.
Yeah.
yeah, no,
same.
he's a great. I mean, like I like Palia. I'm excited to see whatever they're gonna do with Scotty this year. But I'm like, yeah, couldn't we just have like at least a couple seasons with Hemmer? Like, well, it is what it is, I guess. But yeah, Scotty is getting so mad at Eric's and Russ over this, and I think it might be he's particularly on edge because he's so worried about the ship. But
Yeah.
Kirk does say in his log entry that we're all on edge. He's like, even including myself, everyone is kind of paranoid right now. There's all these
And they're all
pranks.
blaming each other or whatever. Friends
Yeah.
are blaming friends.
And then Kirk gets particularly outraged when he goes to get a new shirt, and it says Kirk is a jerk on it. I can't remember who it was, but we were watching this episode yesterday, and someone said, "How long was Kirk walking around with this?"
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was
before
me.
he noticed.
Yeah, I was like, I wonder which ensign had to tell the captain, hey, I don't know if you know this, but your shirt says Kirk is a jerk on the back. You might want to go change. But like he
I'm wondering
definitely
how many
like
people ignored them. Like, they're, okay, well,
they're like,
keep
I'm not
walking.
gonna be the one.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the one that says anything.
As someone who has worn this uniform, a frequent reaction I would get is I would walk past someone, and then after I was past them, I would hear them start laughing after they saw
Yeah.
what was on my back. So,
Yeah, you get the giggle in the background.
yeah. like when I see them face to face, it's like, hi, good morning. I wave, and then I
It's-
keep walking, and then like 2 seconds later, I hear like this like giggle delay.
It's because it's like a mullet shirt. It's business in the front and party in the back.
Yeah. The front just looks like, oh, that's a traditional TOS uniform, right? And
Yeah.
then you get
Yeah.
to the back, but yeah, Kirk is a jerk. I also thought about like, oh, I should like incorporate my name onto something. I came up with I'm Fatheree, don't bother me. But that sends the wrong message, though. I want people to come talk to me if I'm.
It's also
if
a
I'm
little long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd have to be like really little font. to
I
make it fit.
recommended Steven is a heathen, but I was turned down. So
I'll just stick with Kirk as a jerk.
yeah.
Uh,
But
yeah.
so after that prank is the first time we hear the computer laugh. whenever the
Right,
computer
right.
is like, ha, 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 over like the intercom or the speaker or whatever.
So that's our clue to the. It's almost kind of the episode's almost kind of formatted like a little murder mystery. You know, it's like who is the prankster, and then it's like, oh, no one would have suspected the ship's computer.
Yeah.
Steven
Yeah.
is skeeving. That doesn't work. Never mind.
Oh. I think the next prank is kind of funny too. Like whenever there's like fog kind of like coming onto the bridge and they all tell Kirk like, oh, forget about your shirt for a second. Like, what is that fog
Look
going
behind
on?
you.
And they like
Right.
go out there and it's like covered, like the whole hallway is covered in ice and they're like slipping and sliding on it. And
But
I'm like,
the funniest part about that to me is when Maress says, "Captain, turn around," and then like Kirk thinks that she's the prankster. Like this
Yeah.
is where he's like all pissy about his uniform.
yeah. yeah.
And when she says, "Captain, look
know-
behind you," he's like, "Really, Maress? You're going to have to be a little more clever than that."
Yeah, yeah, that was really funny. He's so
also like-
done. Everyone's tired of being
Yeah.
pranked.
I also love in the hallway when they're like, he's like, you know, the Spock says, you know, the floor is covered with ice, and it's like, and it was almost covered by us.
Yeah.
Well, when they're slipping and sliding in the corridor, it's well, I was gonna say arguably not as romantic, but depending on how you read Kirk and Spock, arguably more romantic, I suppose. But Soji and Narek in season 1 of Picard, when they're doing their weird dating on the Borg cube. one of the things they did was they like slid down a grease hallway on the Borg cube.
Oh yeah.
And they did like a little like ice skating montage to some sweet Jeff Russo music. It's a very awkward courtship, but
Awkward is a good word for season 1 of Picard in general.
Yeah. They
very
didn't know what they were
fair.
doing yet. I like the ice montage or the little scene here. I think it's funny to like Spock starts slipping and Kirk like kind of panics and like jumps in after him and realizes what's going on. I think that was really cute, and it kind of looks like they're dancing, which I think is adorable.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Maybe that inspired that scene in Star Trek Picard.
Yeah.
But this is also when Kirk and Spock start to figure it out, right? It's like Spock, as usual, pieces it together first. But he's like, wait a minute, that laughing, that's the ship's computer. That's the ship's computer voice.
Yep.
So this is when Kirk orders like a full-on system check. But let's move on to the rec room malfunction stuff. The reason
flashing
why we're-
unoccupied sign. It's like the
Yeah.
everything's okay alarm or something. It's like,
It's like, what is this, a porta potty?
And it's also weird that like so they're going to use the rec room. Sulu, McCoy, and Uhura. They're gonna go hang out in the rec room. And Uhura says, "Oh, it's unoccupied, so no one will bother us. We won't have any pranks while we enjoy the rec room on our off hour." Is I believe what she says. So it's like, I guess it's like their lunch break or like whatever. Like they're just
yeah, I could see
it's
that.
weird to be like on our off hour. Like I hope you're off for like longer than an hour. Like.
But it could be their lunch or something like that.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
if you have a full shift, I'm assuming they give you time to eat.
Yeah, I think it's also interesting that she's like, oh, we're definitely not going to have any pranks now, which means they all trust each other not to prank each other, which is kind of cool. Like all
That's
three of
true.
them kind of are like, yeah, I trust that none of y'all are the pranksters on this ship, you know?
I almost wonder if she didn't say anything, if the computer just would have ignored them. Like
Yeah.
somehow, like you know, 'cause
It's like
She was
it's
like,
basically set
"Oh."
it up. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Kirk at the beginning when he's like, everything is going smooth. We're 72 hours ahead of schedule. And
Yeah.
then it's like you're cursed as soon as you say that. But yeah, with this ship's computer, that's also scary. But like the idea of like, oh, the computer could be, observing everything. It's something that's kind of relevant now. It's like, oh, it's so easy like to collect data on someone. To like just think about like all the devices and like online services we use now, like people can collect so much data on like with smart homes. It's like anytime someone rings your doorbell or like delivers something to you, like there's like a file somewhere that's like storing all that information, or like it's like, oh, like this person like always turns their lights on and off at these times. It's like, yeah, if like there was a Maleficent AI, it would be able to get at us pretty easily. And just It would know where we are and what we're doing at all times. More so than any human threat in some ways, I guess.
So just be completely erratic.
Yeah, either that or just go live off the grid somewhere.
I require grid. Sorry, I'm being Mariner.
Yeah, I also relate to that. But during their time in the rec room, before things go bad, before they go haywire, all that we see this room do is it's just kind of a blank, empty square, a big empty gray cube with a console, where I guess you can toggle through and select different environments. We have a day at the beach, a day out in the forest. Later we see like a blizzard and like a big garden and so.
Hedge maze.
Yeah, I definitely noticed that they're all like outdoor environments. Like none of them are like indoor or architecture or anything. So I guess that kind of leans into like the recreation side where you're thinking like parks and rec, or
they
like
also may have been thinking like that's what they went in with, the idea of doing something outside or walking or just getting, I don't know if they would like, oh, let's do a murder mystery or something like that. Might not.
Right. It's like
Could just be why he's skipping
before,
through them.
yeah, it's like before you're getting to like, oh, we could do like, what is Picard's Dixon thing? It's like, oh,
Yeah,
well, the
Dixon
first
Hill.
step in like, oh, we want to have like environmental noises and stuff because you're out in space, you're not hearing like birds
Right.
chirping and like water flowing and feel like breeze in the air kind of thing, like things that feel very like planetary and like ground you. So, I mean, I know a lot of like space movies and stuff, they'll have, like audio of like birds chirping and things for when people get like freaked out that they're in space. So I think it does make sense that like all of the rec room environments are outdoor, I guess, to like kind of keep people thinking and feeling at home in a way.
Yeah, people would want like these big open spaces.
Oh, I just noticed the bird.
That's
the sand is showing through the bird on that one frame. Didn't get colored enough.
Yeah. TAS is going to TAS, I guess.
Well, yeah. People were saying, it's why does it have a holodeck grid? That's very 24th century. The thing is, we don't see I believe that we don't see this when it's off. To me, this feels like it's, one, I don't think the room could be that big anyway, or that tall. So it's that seems fake already. But just sort of like it's a blank, like a start screen on a video game. So there is something there. It's just this, as opposed to the grid behind it. Like if they turn it off, maybe it would then be a grid.
Because in the trailer for Strange New World Season 3, like we see Christina Chong standing in front of like the TNG Enterprise D bridge, like holodeck grid. But yeah, I like Aaron's explanation of the image we see in the rec room in the Practical Joker. Yeah, it's probably like instead of like the TV being turned off with a black screen, it's like, oh, like the TV is on, but it's just like a solid white screen because you haven't like selected what you want to put on the screen yet.
And like projectors all have basically the same setup, like depending on, back from the 1800s till now, they have the lens. So the grid could just be one of those things. It's like, okay, this will always have a grid of some kind to create this field or this image.
And the name Rec Room, which is kind of a older, it's a very 20th century term, I guess. But that was a lot of people would, if you had like an extra room, I guess would refer to like your game room as a rec room.
In the script, it was also recreation room, so it might. That kind of, they have the rec deck or the recreation deck in the motion picture,
right?
So that's like I don't know.
I like that.
Did that way.
When I was in college, our like sports complex was called the Rec, just like recreation center.
Yep. Ours was too. It must be a college thing.
When I was talking to our friend Trek on the Tube, this is a long time ago, like years ago. He called this the recreation room, and like when I heard that, I was like no, you dummy,
That's clever.
It's not the recreation room, it's like the recreation room. And then I thought about it, I was like, wait, like yeah, they use it to recreate environments. That does kind of make more sense. Yeah,
that's
the recreation
nice.
room. So
it's like a double name.
Yeah,
like two meanings with the same word. I like that.
if had this happened, well, it did happen 10 years later with the holodeck, but I mean, if this animated show had been the first still, it probably would have had the word hollow in it. But at this point, it had only been like 1963 was like the first hologram. So it was literally like just over 10 years. And one of the things that I read, this interview with a holography expert who Gene talked to in 1973. So odds are that this is a direct, consequence of that conversation. But they were basically saying people didn't get the whole hologram, like the name. So they wanted to name it something that was accessible to people. So I think that's probably what happened. And then they saved the holodeck part when TNG came around.
Yeah, and I looked into a little bit of this too. I did see at one point DC Fontana, who we've talked about a lot on the show before, but basically the showrunner of the animated series, and she was also in the room when they were developing season 1 of TNG. She was around for that, and I just came across a quote recently. Where she said that she doesn't believe that when they were doing the TNG holodeck that they weren't thinking of this episode of the animated series, but yeah, it does to me seem like Gene Roddenberry reusing ideas that he already had, and Aaron, I know
that there was. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I think you were about to bring it up that this is something like you and I were talking about recently about like Gene wanting a holodeck and. Supposedly in season 3 of TOS.
Yeah,
I found out where that came from.
Did you? Okay, because I have not found any reference at all, and like I was about ready to ask Larry Nemechek because it doesn't sound right.
So that was from the, I think it was from Justman, but that book, the true story of Star Trek or whatever, that was Herb's Solo, however you say it.
Herb Solo, yeah,
and Robert Justman, but it came from there that Gene Roddenberry wanted to have something like this in season 3 of the original series, but I think it would have been like the same as what we see here in the animated series, basically like a room that could change its environment, which wouldn't have been outrageously expensive for TV. It's just be like, oh yeah, like if you go into this room, shoot the actors go into the room, and then cut to shooting on location somewhere else. But I think it was just like the thing, like, oh, like in season 3, they had a lot of budget cuts. So they did like every season of TOS, they did like less location shooting. So yeah, I was like, yeah, we don't even have like the budget for that.
Well, the thing is too is like the guy from 1973, unless his interview is also not correct. Like, you could never tell who's actually telling the truth or if it's like somewhere in between. But he was basically explaining to Gene, you could use this as a training tool. And he's like, oh, I'd never thought of any of that. So if he hadn't thought of any of that, how would that have like happened in the third season? I don't know who came up with the idea, but somebody's incorrect somewhere in there. But it's like, so roughly that era is when it happened. But the meeting for sure actually did happen in 1973 because there's a whole convention and stuff around it. So.
But when Sulu, Uhura, and McCoy begin their, I guess, I don't know, they're gonna have like a picnic out in the woods or what they were gonna do, but they
a walk in the woods.
Yeah, they're going for like a stroll through the forest and
clear their heads.
They end up falling in this hole that, like Taylor was saying, it is kind of cartoony, but you see like the setup, you see like the computers chuckling. We just watched the Gorn episode Arena. It's almost like when the Gorn captain is like laughing, he's like chuckling when he's like setting up the booby traps for Kirk. It's like the computer laughs when it's setting up the trap for these 3 in the rec room.
In the original sketch that I have, it's a chapel in there. And I don't know if that's something they just changed before they animated it, or if it was just an accidental animation from something else.
It would make sense to not use Chapel in this episode because
the voice,
Majel's Chapel voice is so similar to her computer voice. So
I wondered if that's why they altered that.
Like, I know Maress is in here a lot, but like with Maress, you get like the the cat voice. So
right,
you get like the purrs and stuff. So. A little different.
She's different enough, yeah. They had one where they were in the room and Majel wasn't there, but they had Nichelle doing the computer voice, and then we're like, "Why was that from?"
Right,
I
yeah,
guess maybe
when-
she just wasn't there, but
Yeah,
That
it
was
was
weird.
probably when she was pregnant with Rod, or
yeah,
somewhere around then. But yeah, so because the three of them went into the rec room right before Kirk and Spock sounded the general alarm, general alert, whatever, when they're doing like the ship wide system scans and everything. So the computers like kept them from hearing that, and is basically like holding them prisoner in the rec room. And Kirk gets in an argument with the computer. He as Taylor likes to point out when we're watching this, he likes to argue with AI.
He was so excited though. He was like, "Did I hear that right?" And he like runs over there. He's like, "It's my time to shine. I'm going to argue with this computer." And I think it was really funny because she just keeps sassing him, and she's like, "Say please," and Spock's just like, "It's probably better if you just comply."
But
I was
that's how
like,
you
wow.
get at Kirk. You go after the Enterprise, right? I was talking about like Scotty loves the Enterprise, but like Kirk is also in love with the Enterprise. So like if you're taking away command of his ship from him, that's the number one way to get under his skin.
is this where he's gritting his teeth basically?
Yeah, he's like, "Please."
Yeah. It's funny that actually comes through in that animation because it's so simple.
Hmm.
Yeah, and while he's dealing with that, the gang in the rec room, they climb out of the hole in the ground. They end up in a blizzard instead, and McCoy has the line, "When I get my hands on the clown who's behind all this, I'll put him in sick bay for a week." So I like
She
that.
says, "Temper, temper." And then she's like, "You need to cool off," and throws them
Oh,
in
yeah.
the blizzard. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
really really cheesy and punny. She also the computer had some really good jokes when they fell into the pit. She was like,
Yeah.
"Ha ha ha, get to the bottom of this," and "You fell for my joke."
For
Ha
it,
ha ha.
yeah.
Like so many dad jokes in there. It was really cute.
Yeah, it's like this artificial intelligence that's just discovered the concept of humor. I mean,
Yeah.
I think this is arguably way less cringy than when Data tried to learn humor. We saw that a couple of times. Outrageous Okana with the Jerry Lewis stuff, or
Yeah.
Star Trek Generations, when he like won't stop laughing, he's like Mr. Tricorder and all of that nonsense. So
Yeah. The shoot, what was I gonna say? Never mind. Go ahead. It'll come back.
well, Kirk orders Scotty to go to the computer room and I guess hit the reset button or
Shut down all logical functions.
so
We never
okay,
saw
so,
this in
so
real
just turn it off.
action, did we? The computer room.
No, there's a. So I wanted to ask you about this, Aaron. We have the computer room in this episode, and then in the very first episode of the animated series, Beyond the Farthest Star, Scotty has to go to the computer core. I think they call it there, but it looks like it's a different room.
Yeah.
So we have a computer core, but also a computer room. But they're different rooms with different purposes.
Maybe they're like stacked on top of each other or something like that.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
like connected or something.
Maybe
I'll
it's
buy it.
like how you have like the main distribution frame room, like the MDF room, and then you have like the independent distribution frames. So like maybe the computer room is like just an IDF, and then like the core would be like, I would think like the big room. I would think.
So,
Yeah.
Taylor with the IT professional terminology.
It works.
It's I'm running on 2 years out of it, so I'm a little rusty.
No, a lot of people in our audience are going to be like, "Oh, that's the you're speaking the language that I understand." So,
Well, don't quote me because I was never the logical one. I was all the creative one in the tech room.
well, Scotty is unable to get to the computer controls though because the ship reverses the polarity of the ship's gravity. So I guess they say reverse polarity. So I guess like they're not just floating, but they're like stuck to the ceiling. Is how I would
Yeah.
interpret that. So
Maybe
we
it's like
don't-
in the what is it? The Starbase 80 with the upside down engineering room.
yeah. And like we see on the bridge, we see them upside down there. They don't really show the rest of the ship, but that kind of would have been fun just to see like everyone stuck on the ceiling all throughout the Enterprise.
Yeah.
But Spock figures out like, the computer was just scared of Scotty getting close to the buttons to turn it off. So if Scotty will back away from the controls, maybe we'll get gravity back to normal. So they try that, and that works.
Donk.
Yeah.
It's like Captain Archer in Enterprise when he was in the shower.
Right, yeah, they had a gravity plating malfunction then. Yeah, I
Should
didn't
be
think
fixed
about
any
that.
moment now. Okay,
You know-
thanks.
It's funny how often we see gravity do weird things in animated Star Trek where you don't have to deal with like suspending actors up
Yeah.
in the air. You know, it happens a lot more in animated. Like every animated Star Trek has done like multiple zero gravity sequences.
I think the first one was in Star Trek. What is it? 5? Not 5. 6.
Well,
Where with the Klingons, then they got shot and the pink blood flew out.
yeah. I guess that was the first time they did it in live action.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I mean, arguably, like the motion picture, there's dudes in spacesuits floating around, and
Yeah, but they did that in this too, in TOS with the Tholian.
oh yeah, the Tholian web.
But yeah, it definitely happens a lot more in animation. TAS, Lower Decks, it did happen. Yeah, I guess it happened in Prodigy a couple times too.
But after they get their gravity corrected, then they get the laughing gas released on the ship, which makes everyone laugh except for Spock.
I think it was Joel who said that it's like, yeah, leave it up to. It's very apt that laughing gas makes Vulcans sick, as
Yeah.
opposed to laughing.
Yeah, I mean, like the way that works is you breathe in, like the normal atmospheric ratio is like you breathe in like 80% nitrogen, 20% oxygen, and this is just like a slightly higher ratio of nitrogen over oxygen, and so like you're just depriving your brain
Yeah,
of
it was
oxygen
Joel.
to get loopy. But eventually, I guess you would just like pass out, right? Like you would not get enough oxygen, your brain would just like
Right.
go to sleep. So they made it sound like that is what happens, but it's kind of weird. It all happens off screen, but just at some point off screen, it's not that big of a deal. Spock just went and hit like the
Emergency
refresh
air.
the air button.
Yeah. Somewhere in here in this in this part of the episode, Spock starts to theorize that the subatomic particles are like a bacteria and uses that like an analogy. But then he says something weird that I don't agree with. But he says like, in short, like the computer is experiencing a nervous breakdown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's not a nervous breakdown to me. Like, I don't know. I thought that was a weird thing to say.
There's just like a buzzy term, but like yeah, like sometimes people snap. Sometimes they have a nervous breakdown.
He could have said something like colloquially called, or something like just something that you might call as opposed to this is what I think it is.
Yeah, I just thought it was kind of weird because I was thinking like, I don't know if I would say like pulling pranks on all these people is like that.
No.
Yeah, that I would not call that. I would not classify that the electronic equivalent of a nervous breakdown, as Spock did.
The nervous breakdown, I think people would bring a lot more danger.
But when Aaron was saying the particles infecting the circuits like bacteria infecting living matter, like that would kind of make that analogy make more sense if it actually was like an organic life form infecting the computer.
Yeah. And if it wasn't a life form and it still was subatomic particles, I wonder if that's why Data got affected in the Naked Now by whatever that was. Because that didn't make any sense. This actually made more sense, which is weird.
Yeah, the prick me, do I not leak? That always,
Yeah.
I was pretty young when I saw that episode for the first time, and even as a kid, I was like, yeah, like the robot getting drunk does not make sense, y'all.
It's also like the second episode of the series. That was like we didn't know any of the characters. It didn't make their personalities weren't even set. You know, like he could have been a drunk robot the entire time. Like we wouldn't have known. Like,
What's also funny to me is that when Kirk orders Scotty to get to the rec room and get the crew members out of there, he says like he wants them to send a team with power tools to open the frozen doors that they can't get open. But then when they actually go to open it, like they're just using crowbars, and Scotty even says like, "Oh yeah, we're making some progress with the crowbars." So it's like, I asked for
something
power
like-
tools.
Yeah, they should have done like like the Jaws of Life kind of thing where it's crowbars but automated and with the power behind it.
And there's also the line in there when Kirk gives the log entry, and we learn like off screen that that Spock saved the ship by restoring the air, but Kirk says we must cure the computer by then. I'm sorry. He says the fresh air quickly revived us, although it'll be exhausted in another 6 hours. We must cure the computer by then, or there's no telling what we'll be forced to breathe next.
Oh.
I thought that was funny. Like, what else are you scared it's gonna make you breathe? Like, that's just a weird anxiety to have.
Poison.
But it makes sense in this situation.
Or maybe neurozine gas or whatever. Like that.
And
I don't know if they had that in the 23rd century, but basically a nerve gas.
McCoy wants to give up so bad in the blizzard.
Such
when
a
he's like,
martyr.
just leave me behind. My old legs have given out.
Go on without me.
But this
Yeah,
is
that's pretty
interesting to me. Uhura says if we just walk in one direction, eventually we'll get to the wall. That's kind of
Yeah.
like the by the time you get to a 24th century holodeck,
That's not true.
they seem to have worked that out where like you can walk in here all day, you'll never get to the wall. So, but I think it's doing something because like it shouldn't be that hard for them to actually like find the
Yeah.
edge of the room. Like they're still gonna have to like walk for a while to kind of overcome.
And if they, yeah, and I don't know how much they have control. Like if it's like a holodeck where they could slowly tweak it as they're walking, so they could turn it so they basically just start walking in a curve, so they walk away from the wall, but it looks like they're going straight, just by changing the visuals. I don't know.
It's kind of cool, like that. The last environment we see it create when they're in kind of it looked like one of those garden mazes, like
The
in The
labyrinth.
Shining. A labyrinth,
Yep.
yeah, like a garden labyrinth.
Hedge maze. I think
Yeah,
they call them too.
there we go. Yeah, whenever you have like the bushes that form like a big maze, and it's hard.
It's cool looking.
to find your way out of.
It is cool.
Yeah, and it's kind of a cool way to show off like the sci-fi concept of
Yeah.
the rec room, creating these 3D environments. When you see like the door and the bushes open, when the dudes with the crowbars finally get it open.
I just realized it's kind of like The Shining. It's like the snow and the hedgeman's like he could have just opened the door and was like, here's Jack. Whatever. This is too early for that, but
It also just occurred to me that it would make it easy to pull off the Homer Simpson meme of where he like he like comes in and out of the bushes. It's like, oh yeah, you have like the door set right there. So
yeah, that's funny.
but luckily, yeah, they get them out of the rec room before Dr. McCoy freezes to death.
I loved how he's like, what do you say? Something to the effect of like, it could take forever or not. So the
Yeah,
door
yeah.
opens, like,
I love how exhausted the two red shirts look with those crowbars, like where they have like this analog fixed and they're just like like huffing and puffing as they open the doors. I think that's so funny and like realistic. But
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
like, I wish Scotty let us use the power tools like Kirk asked for.
yeah.
maybe they were worried that the ship might do something with the power tools, like
Yeah.
somehow control them.
Oh yeah. I was also wondering, like, those robots they used to have on the Enterprise, like in Discovery season 2,
Oh, yeah.
when we see the dot robots. Like, hey, that could be a way for the computer to get something on the bridge. But
There you go.
I'd like to
just didn't
believe
see
that
it.
all of those were removed from the Enterprise because I don't like them. So I think when
No.
Kirk takes over, he gets rid of all of them. But
This is kind of interesting because Chuck Menenville, I can't remember how to pronounce his last name.
but episode writer.
Yeah, who also wrote Once Upon a Planet. It had a computer that took over, basically. So it's like there's some interesting parallels between the two.
Oh yeah, he liked computer bad guys, I guess.
Oh. And that one had drones, so it could do something.
Yeah, so similar to what I was talking about using the dot robots.
That's why I thought of it when you said that.
Anything else on the rec room before we move on to the big ending?
I don't think so. I'm just excited to see how much of the if it's in Strange New Worlds, how much of the bits and pieces of this we will somehow see. I'm not gonna see the blinking occupied light or anything like that.
I just want
but
them
I am
to
curious.
I just want them to actually call it the rec room. I think that'd be
Yeah.
cool.
They're not gonna have
the
tapes.
terminology.
Like that was weird even then though. It's like they didn't have tapes running the Enterprise. That was never. I mean, that wasn't part of the TOS. So the fact that they talked about audio tapes reeling backwards, and they thought the laugh was that at first. It's just like that's not in your ship.
Yeah, I think they mentioned tapes a couple times as far as like storage
record
for like
tapes.
computer information.
Yeah.
But we still use tape for that today.
That's
like
true. Yeah.
a lot of like backup stuff is still on a form of tape these days. So
But I don't think a holodeck would have like sound effects on tape.
yeah, you're not gonna have your audio be like a cassette tape that has to
Yeah.
rewind and replay. Yeah, that
I had a little headcanon that maybe it was TAPE as an acronym, like TAPES, and it just stands for something that we don't know because they just still call them tapes.
There you go.
I
Or it's
mean-
just that they literally just call because we talk about we're going to videotape something. Like no, we're not using videotape. So, but people still use that term. So
Yeah.
oh yeah,
maybe it
like
just continues.
in the industry, whenever you pre-record something, that's like you call that taping. Like today, like,
Yeah,
oh, we didn't do it live; we taped it.
that's true.
So, but let's talk about our ending. The ship starts heading back towards the neutral zone because Spock concludes the Enterprise computer wants to play her biggest prank yet. She's going to make fools of the Romulans by producing this giant balloon of like a massive Enterprise, a ship 20 times larger than the Romulan ships.
We do
because
have an explanation for that in the book. How Much for That Planet? I think it's called. It's a Harry Mudd story, but they basically talk about it's a decoy that's super compressed, encapsulated. So it's like, and it's meant to be like some sort of test, like deflector. What I'm trying to say, basically, like how can we deflect some of the scans
Firepower?
from Romulans?
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
So that way, yeah, and but they also mentioned that it seems silly. Which I thought was
Oh,
funny.
but that would kind of make like I don't really need like an explanation to make this make more sense. Like I was
No,
fine just like thinking that the balloon was created by the computer, but I do also like that idea though that like they actually kept this for like a practical purpose. It was used
Yeah.
to like
It's not like she made it; it was actually there.
right like yeah. So that would be kind of funny to deploy that, but. If you were trying to
Yeah.
test, like, how would our ship look on other people's scanners and stuff, it would make sense, like, you would have it the exact same shape.
Yes. Oh, sorry. How much for Just the Planet by John Ford? That's Joel in the audience.
Yeah, that came out, that was, like, in the 70s, right, when that book came out?
Yeah. Well, after this, at some point.
After this, but before the motion picture.
Yeah.
But the idea that this would disgrace the Romulans, they who, as the episode says, the Romulans fear disgrace more than death. But yeah, it's like I guess the idea is like if you trick the Romulans into shooting a balloon, the Romulans would be like, "How dare you trick me into shooting a balloon? I look so stupid now. I'm so embarrassed."
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem like that big of a deal to me. But I guess I'm not a Romulan, so I guess I don't get it.
The Romulans seem very honor bound. In the TAS, it's more about they're more Klingon like in that sense.
Yeah, that was kind of and Ron Moore even admitted to kind of inverting this. But the Romulans of TOS and TAS, they definitely seemed like they're more into like the honor and glory stuff than the Klingons are. But it's also kind of a Roman thing, I guess, which was supposed to be their basis. And
Yeah.
Gene Roddenberry also saw the Romulans as a very like Chinese, whereas like the Klingons were more like the Soviet analog, and then the Romulans were the China analog, I guess, was his approach to it. But I kind of like the more martial, more they're honestly like more intimidating, but a bit more colorful and more passionate Romulans of the original series. I kind of like them more than the TNG big goofy shoulder pad Romulans. But I'll actually compliment. We were poking fun at Picard season 1 earlier, but I'll actually compliment like one of the things that Picard season 1 did really well is it took like a lot of the different Romulan looks as well as lore and different behaviors and seemingly like different cultural aspects, and they did like a pretty good job tying that all together and making it all work. So all the things that I think Picard season 1 could have done better, I'd say like it handled the Romulans pretty well.
It's like the brother and sister, but
yes, that's true. That part was I could have done without.
we did not need Game of Thrones in space.
But the real funny part of this episode of The Practical Joker for me is Kirk's overacting. Not Shatner's overacting, but Kirk's overacting when Kirk starts freaking out about going back through the energy cloud and the computer teasing him like oh the energy field frightens you, and just William Shatner being so over the top was like, it petrifies me. Like the way he says that just cracks me up so much, and the way he's animated, the way they draw him to look scared, it's funny.
I remember the first time I saw this, I was actually a little confused because I thought maybe he got possessed because his face was just so different, and then realized, oh, he's like pulling reverse psychology. Okay, I get it. But the first time I saw it, I was like, this is weird. Is he possessed? Like,
He's finally snapped. He's having a nervous breakdown.
Yeah. He's having the
There it
electronic
is.
nervous breakdown or whatever. But it's a thing that Kirk does when Kirk is, he likes to bluff a lot, but like Kirk is an overactor. Because, it's the same thing, like when he screams Khan in The Wrath of Khan, he wasn't really, stranded on that planetoid. He just needed to sell that to Khan. Oh no, you really got me this time, Khan. I'm so mad, Khan. But it was just like Kirk overacting, and he kind of does the same thing in Star Trek 3 when he's trying to look tough to the Klingons and be like, it's no big deal that you just like shot at my ship. This is the Enterprise. We're fully staffed over here. We can take care of one measly little bird of prey. But he's kind of like overacting in that too. So it's fun to me that I doubt that was like intentional continuity with what we see here in The Practical Joker, but I love when all the dots line up and you can connect those through lines like that. So yeah, that's a consistent behavior. Kirk is an overact. Now, at some point in Strange New Worlds, I want to see Paul Wesley have to play Kirk overacting at some point. Let's get another example of it.
Maybe he can do that in the holodeck episode.
Yeah,
The Rec Room.
or the Rec Room episode. Yeah, there we go. But the reverse psychology works. The Enterprise computer takes the ship back through the cloud, and this time for whatever reason, Aaron, I think, presented a good explanation, but the subatomic particles reverse the damage done to the computer, and so the Enterprise is fine, but now the 3 Romulan ships are gonna have some some prankster computers, I guess. It's weird that it will like it doesn't matter what fleet you're in. You could be in a Starfleet ship, you could be in a Romulan / Klingon design ship that's used in a Romulan fleet. It doesn't matter though. These subatomic particles are going to have the same effect on you.
Also, it's like the fact that, oh, let's let them have their fun. It's like, it almost killed all of your people. Like, why? Is it just because they're Romulans? Just gonna, okay, fine.
Yeah,
they're gonna send a strongly worded letter to Starfleet.
There you go. Yeah, they're gonna get like the same complaint up the chain of command to the manager as well. I guess it's very like the Trouble of Tribbles though. Let's just end with the Tribbles, like in the flooding the Klingon engine room or whatever. It doesn't matter. It's all fun and games over there on our enemy's ship. Like it might start a war with them or something, but like it's all fun. But yeah, I didn't really think about this too much, but that is a good point. Like, yeah, like people very easily could have died because of this. Maybe you should warn the Romulans, even if
I still want to know, like, do they have a transmitter at their food dispensers? Like, let's send out that audio to everybody. That was weird.
Yeah, it was a weird transmission to say. They just needed the joke to
maybe
end
the
the
computer
episode.
did it, like that instead of it just happening. Like they're like, oh, we're going to show the Enterprise how funny this is.
Yeah, or
Embarrass them.
Maybe if there was some, maybe there is some intelligence to the particles, and it's kind of maybe like it remembers its time on the Enterprise or something. I don't know, but that is very similar, I guess, to the computer being possessed in the episode I was just talking about, Far Beyond the Stars, the first episode of TAS. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I talk about this a lot lately, it seems like, but Star Trek recycling ideas. I mean, like, I love Strange New Worlds. I'm really excited for Strange New Worlds to get here soon. But like, I know, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna see some recycled ideas, like maybe a holodeck episode or something like that. So, I love Strange New Worlds, but it's not particularly like I don't know if it's particularly new, but it's more like a classic old worlds. I think would have been a
Strange Revisited Worlds. Or
yeah. But
we need to get a new acronym because we have the severe narrative whiplash. Now we need something for how they're just recycling the the worlds.
Yeah,
I would like to see at some point in the Strange New Worlds last 3 seasons, a parallel Earth or something, because we saw that a couple times in TOS, and I would love for them to bring that back. They never did afterwards. I know it's silly, but I don't know.
If you're gonna do that, though, Strange New Worlds is the perfect place to do that. But yeah,
they come across the Roman planet, or not that one specifically, but something like that.
Yeah, like we saw in like Bread and Circuses and Miri and a couple other times. So.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on the Practical Joker, on the ending or the episode overall?
I liked Majel's voice acting whenever she's basically like this, I guess the particles are dying or leaving, and she goes, "You tricked me, Kirk. How could you?" Like, it's kind of creepy. Like, it almost feels like a demon possession. Like, we're like, I don't know. Like, it has like this little bit of like this eeriness when she's like, "You tricked me," like, because she's been like tricking them this whole time, So, I think that was really fun dialogue, and it was a little eerie for me when I heard her.
That's how she talked to Jean.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, there was one line that at the end that also, just as it trails off, that was, like you said, it was like kind of creepy.
But that is
actually, I have this
another that's another similarity to the episode Beyond the Farthest Star, because like that when they get the entity out of the computer at the end of that episode, it's talking about being so lonely. What does it say, Aaron? It's like so lonely or something like that. Like the voice trails off.
I think it's just so lonely, like lonely, or like, so alone. Hang on, I will find out. Give me just a second. I have my scripts up and running here. Scroll to the bottom. Don't leave me alone, please, please. So lonely. So yeah, so lonely. I think that's what it kind of echoes off at the end. It just repeats. That is kind of sad.
Yeah, there's a lot of that kind of in the original series and
And then
the
he becomes
animated
Armus.
series. Because like in the
Yeah.
Squire of Gothos, like he's like, I was gonna, or
Yeah.
whatever.
I
was
would
gonna
have
win.
won.
I would
I
have won.
would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's like that repetitive, like, I don't know, fade out.
The best one is Charlie X when it
wanna
ends
stay.
with him.
Oh yeah.
So the joke that Dave and I came up with is that I would never actually do this, but I suggested, what if I cosplayed Charlie X, or Charlie from Charlie X, and I went around with like these roses and just handed a rose to any woman I saw cosplaying as Yeoman Rand. And then Dave said, yeah, and then at the end of the day, when like the security like drags you out of the convention for being a creep, you can say like, I want to stay. So, but yeah, well, if that's all we got on the Practical Joker, I'll go ahead and go into our Gorn Egg section of the show. So some of the Easter eggs and jokes and continuity connections I thought would be fun to mention. So starting off, we have Romulans in Klingon D7 ships, my favorite non-Starfleet ship design in the whole franchise.
They have cute little hats.
Yeah, Taylor calls it the ship with the cute little hat.
Isn't this also the last time we see Romulans until TNG?
It would be, yes, I guess. Yeah, they get mentioned in the movies, but we never see one in a movie until Star Trek V, which would have been after TNG premiered. So yeah, this is the final appearance of the Romulans for 13 years after this, or 14 years. I guess it would have been 88 when the episode The Neutral Zone aired. But the Romulans only have the D7 ships 3 times. They have them in the TOS episode, The Enterprise Incident, and then they had them earlier in the animated series in the episode The Survivor. But I love seeing it.
I like the little design, the bird design on the wings too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and when they showed up in the remastered version of the original series, where they put the bird of prey bird on the D7 ship.
Mm-hmm.
And then Aaron, as you mentioned, the food synthesizer malfunction of Scotty being covered in food. We saw something very similar in the short trek Runaway when Tilly got covered in food being shot out of the synthesizer, which really does seem to be like the exact same thing as a replicator, except I know like replicators have to be like a new thing in the 24th century, so whenever they want to have them in the 23rd century, they just call them synthesizers. But like TAS like uses the word synthesizer in this episode, so I think it's okay. Like in Enterprise, they talked about having resequenced protein, so there's early versions of the technology as far back as the 22nd century.
And we can see in the Discovery one episode where the Michael Burnham's uniform is being created. Mm-hmm. It's kind of going. So I guess that could be like a synthesizer. It's like a 3D printer almost or something, but it made it really quickly. But it wasn't like it just came out whole cloth. It has to somehow be built, I guess, would be the synthesizing it part.
Mm.
But like that sequence, like that uniform being created like that kind of bothered me when I first saw that in season 1 of Discovery. I was like, that looks way too advanced for this era. But then it's like, but according to the Practical Joker, like like the Enterprise synthesized uniforms, so it did have a canonical precedent,
which is interesting because also the uniforms are supposed to be made out of xenolon, which is that biological fabric or whatever,
right?
So I don't know if it sewed it together or something. But...
Yeah, I don't know if the disco blue uniforms were made out of that, but we know for a fact that during the time the animated series, the Enterprise uniforms were. Yeah. So yeah, that is weird.
That's why they shrunk with them. At least they called that out. I thought that was interesting. It's like in most cartoons never would have like They just would have
Yeah.
assumed that the clothes shrank within. We're not going to explain
No,
it.
yeah, that would have been annoying. Like in the TNG episode Rascals, when they get turned
Yeah.
into kids, and it doesn't. It like why did the uniforms shrink too? But I guess similar reasons. Who knows? We also see kind of a weird, replicator food things in lower decks when Boimler is trying to deal with this mutated scorpion Tindy, but he's eating himself covered in food out of the replicator on purpose that time, so can't blame it on a malfunction. But also, like I mentioned, the rec room being used in this episode does seem to be an example of holodeck or holodeck adjacent technology, like we would see in the Next Generation, starting with Encounter at Farpoint. And it looks like what we will see in a few weeks in Strange New Worlds Season 3.
And I know that our friend Rachel is trying to recreate that outfit. It wants more detail.
So, Star Trek Las Vegas, she's planning to cosplay on in this, I guess, whatever she's wearing and what appears to be their holodeck adventure.
Her
we'll
Carmen
find out.
Sandiego uniform.
Yeah. It is very Carmen Sandiego. But there's been a couple other examples, I guess, of early holodeck technology. Like the way that we see it in Encounter at Farpoint, it's just being used to recreate environments. We don't really see interactive characters until like a couple episodes later. But we saw what looked like a holodeck. Speaking of season 1 of Discovery, doing weird things with Star Trek technology that maybe should or shouldn't exist in the 23rd century. But Ash Tyler and Captain Lorca do like Klingon target practice. However, they seem to be like in like the corridors of Discovery.
Yeah.
Like they're actually like roaming through the ship. It seems like they're
It's
not
like laser tag, but like
Yeah.
just more advanced.
like I could definitely like buy it as like, oh, it's like a much more primitive form of holodeck technology, and it's something like they kind of dropped in Discovery. I mean, like the
not
show,
physical technology though, is it? The
right? Like
holograms?
they don't like physically touch anything. Yeah, they're just like
Yeah.
shooting at things. So, but one of the ideas that they had in Discovery season 1 was that Discovery was like a weird science ship that could be conducting all these different
That's true.
experiments.
Yeah,
And so I kind of wish that they would have done more like weird stuff with
that
the
would have been
tech.
interesting.
Like when they eventually mention Synthahol, and it's like that shouldn't be a thing. Like Scotty didn't know about Synthahol in TNG, but I don't know. Maybe maybe Disco is like one of the first places where they tried to test that
Or
out. So
maybe they were going to test it out, and then they got thrown into the 32nd century, so it just never made it. Somebody else had to come up with it.
yeah, they never got the results back to whoever was like running that at Starfleet. So.
Oh, one thing I did forget to mention when we were talking about the rec room, none of them seemed, awed by the technology. So for me, it feels like people are like, oh, like, they don't. Why would they not be surprised or whatever? Because if Strange New Worlds does have a holodeck, basically, by the time we get to TOS, it's going to be something that people know about. So they would be like, oh, okay, let's just go use the rec room. So I thought that was interesting. It's like they don't seem, they're not like Riker when he walks through the door. It's like, oh my God, what is this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
But no, that is a good point. There's another example of, I guess, early holodeck technology in Enterprise, the episode Unexpected. But Trip gets pregnant in a holodeck, basically, in the Zerillian holodeck, where they could recreate Vasquez rocks. But that also
It's a default thing.
But it seemed like they were only doing environments that didn't produce the interactive characters.
Yeah. Every time I see that, it reminds me of that reflective holographic wrapping paper. The screen picture before that.
That's like the material they built the set out of. It looks like in Unexpected. But that's all I got on Gorn eggs. But we just talked about this episode for over an hour, so you know how we feel about the Practical Joker. Please let us know. You can comment on YouTube or on Spotify, or talk to us in the Tex-Trek Discord server and let us know your thoughts on this episode. We might share it in upcoming Tex-Trek content. Last week, Taylor and I discussed the TOS episode Arena with Dave while preparing for the Return of the Gorn in Strange New Worlds Season 3 very soon.
That's a very good episode. Go back and watch it if you haven't seen it or heard it.
Well, we got some responses on our Arena discussion from our friend Subcommander Tall on Twitter. He said, modern audiences may snicker at the lethargic Gorn and foam boulders, but Arena is an absolutely iconic episode with a great concept. It's a story of survival, first contact, and ultimately empathy. And I think, yeah, that's a very well worded, says a lot about Arena. But I agree, Subcommander. And this is interesting, but sorry, my mouse is weird. Doesn't always scroll in the direction I want it to. In the Tex-Trek Discord, Jill was mentioning that if you go back and watch this episode, you can see something that Sean Kinney's talked about, but when he was playing DePaul in this episode, he's talked about at conventions how the controls, those light up buttons, were like so hot on his console. Jill says, if you take a look at 16 minutes 30 seconds into the episode, she says, I was wondering if Kinney's buttons could actually be hotter or more lit up than Takei's, being closer to the camera, which might explain why Kinney talked about burning his fingers on the underlit buttons, and we don't see a similar comment from Takei. From what I see, Kinney's buttons look much brighter than Takei's after all. Now, I'll have to see if the Navigator's buttons are less bright by Season 2, so that's interesting. So yeah, maybe that's why they toggle through Navigators so much in Season 1 before they get to Chekhov. Maybe it's like it would burn everyone's hands, so everyone's like, I don't want to play the Navigator in Star Trek.
That's funny.
But let us know what you thought about Practical Joker. Also, we would love to get subspace transmissions on what people want to see in this upcoming third season of Strange New Worlds, or what you don't want to see. That's going to be the subject of our show next week. Taylor and I are going to be joined by Joel, and we're going to be discussing the top 4 things each of us wants to see in Season 3, and we're also going to share the one thing we hope we don't see in Season 3. So I'll be curious what Taylor and Joel come up with. We're not going to share this with anyone. It's all going to be kept super secret, classified, confidential until next Friday when we reveal our top 4 things we want to see and the one thing we don't want to see in Strange New Worlds Season 3. But Taylor, Aaron, it was fun getting to talk about some TAS. We're going to be all Strange New Worlds. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for joining us. It's going to be all SNW for the next month and a half. So it'll be good to have let's talk about some Star Trek I haven't seen before, and neither has anyone else. So
we need that around about now too, just for a little bit of distraction, if nothing else.
Yeah, we got spoiled, man. Like 2022, 2023, when we used to get 40, 50 episodes of Trek a year. Now it's we're all a bunch of crack addicts, like trying to get that next hit. It's come on, I need some Trek. I've been fiending all year. Give me these 10 episodes now. I need it. All we've had this year is a Section 31 movie. Come on.
Yeah. That was almost like having no Star Trek at all.
Well, there's almost no Star Trek in it, but...
Yeah, that's what I mean.
But yeah, 10 Strange New Worlds starting in 2 weeks, so that'll be fun. Also, Taylor and I, as well as Joel and Rachel, will be at Star Trek Las Vegas in August. So looking forward to that. And reminder, we're going to be bringing back the Thursday night first reaction streams on Thursdays for Strange New Worlds. So Yeah, so a lot of fun Strange New Worlds talks coming very soon, starting next week. So it is here. The era of Strange New Worlds Season 3 starts next week with the things we hope we see and don't want to see in the show. Please come back for that. And until next time, as always, live long and prosper, y'all.
Subscribe to YouTube to watch the Tex-Trek podcast live or listen to us later on your favorite podcast platform. Follow Stephen Fatheree on socials at TX Trek. Thank you and take care.